A study to compare the underlying biology and mechanics of chimpanzee muscle to human muscle was undertaken in 2017. In terms of jumping, pushing, pulling and lifting, humans are indeed weaker than most primates, the group of mammals that includes apes and monkeys, the study reports. So if you were to wrestle a chimpanzee in some kind of bizarre battle of the species, you would be at a serious disadvantage. Pound for pound, our closest cousins in the animal kingdom are about 1.35 times more powerful than humans. But don't let that get you down. Human muscles have enabled us to walk and run great distances, providing us with the foraging and hunting abilities that ultimately made us human. These differences in muscles likely emerged within the past 7 million years, when early human ancestors developed more slow-twitch muscle fibres, namely those good for endurance than fast-twitch muscles, which are good for speed and punching. Matthew O'Neill, an assistant professor at the University of Arizona College of Medicine in Phoenix, led the research group that reported the findings, which were published in June of 2017. Apparently, these studies showed that slow fibres are more fatigue resistant than fast fibres, which basically means we humans can do things like run marathons, unlike chimpanzees. The greater number of slow twitch fibres may have evolved because it gave early humans the advantage of being able to travel long distances and forage, and allowed them to rely less on powerful movements for survival and fitness. For years, scientists have suspected that chimpanzees are more powerful than humans, but that suspicion was based largely on anecdotal evidence. Adult chimps are generally smaller than adult humans at around 45 kilograms. Therefore, it has been difficult to accurately compare strength between the two primates. The notion that chimpanzees and other apes have superhuman strength dates back first to tales from European explorers in sub-Saharan Africa in the early 19th century, and then to research in the 1920s by biologist John Bauman, who studied chimps in zoos. In a later series of studies, Bauman found that chimps could pull weights 5 times heavier than the strongest college football player could. One chimpanzee named Suzette supposedly pulled 572 kilograms in a fit of rage, which was nearly 10 times her own body weight, although no other study has recorded anything close to that show of strength since. The 5 times stronger figure stuck for decades until more modern studies in the 1960s refined the estimation to about 2 times stronger. More recently, laboratory-controlled studies on chimpanzee mass-specific muscle performance found that, on average, the animals outperformed humans by a factor of approximately 1.5 times in tasks involving pulling and jumping. Then, the group compared the skeletal muscles under a microscope. One of the advantages of our approach is that we avoid all the complexities involved in trying to elicit maximum performance from a chimpanzee of unknown motivation or interest, and instead get right to the measurement of the muscle tissue, Matthew O'Neill stated. The research also showed that the so-called contractile properties of human and chimpanzee skeletal muscle fibres, that is, how muscle fibres pull two joints together to enable the body to lift or move, are similar. However, the study found that human skeletal muscles differ in fibre length and protein composition. Chimp muscles contained a balance of 3 variants of protein, but human muscles are dominated by 1 variant. This variant enables slower twitching or contracting, which is important for endurance and energy conservation. The researchers' computer simulations revealed that these differences in muscle characteristics increase the maximum dynamic force and power-producing capacity of chimpanzees by a factor of 1.35 compared to humans. The price of that power, though, is that chimps and other apes tire more easily and cannot walk great distances to find food, or for that matter to find new lands and make new discoveries. These findings are independent of body size and instead concern the physical property of individual muscle fibres, it was stated. Both humans and chimps can gain strength through exercise and the creation of more muscle fibres. Pound for pound, chimps have the advantage in a fight, so we had better stick to long distance running. Wolf, otherwise known as Canis lupus, a large canine native to Eurasia and North America, boasting more than 30 subspecies. The way wolves travel in groups, and yet can be seen individually too, sometimes howling into the air to call their friends, is often an image that causes unease in us. Wolves have long been involved in stories and folklore, often depicted in terrifying movies and novels. If you were to run into one by the roadside, I don't think you would fancy your chances. Neither would I. While it might be tempting to think of these animals as our beloved dog's cousins, a wolf is not merely a large dog. It is much bigger and deadlier. Those brave people amongst us might just wonder, would an unarmed human beat a wolf in a one-on-one fight? To investigate this battle and see whether the human or the wolf manages to rise to the occasion, let us firstly analyse the measurements of the wolf and data for human background information. The average human is taller and heavier than a wolf. The average human male weighs up to 90 kilograms and stands at about 1.78 meters. Of course, humans can be much lighter, or they can be heavier than this measure. They can also grow taller too. Meanwhile, wolves weigh between 36 and 86 kilograms, grow between 1 and 1.5 meters long, and stand between 60 and 90 centimeters at the shoulder. Wolves are much faster than humans. They can run at speeds above to 40 miles per hour when catching prey. Meanwhile, the fastest human of all time, Usain Bolt, hit 27.3 miles per hour or so while in the middle of his 2009 100-metre world record. The average person can barely break the 10 mile per hour mark when running. The average wolf relies on its pack size, speed and agility to stay safe from harm. Meanwhile, humans rely on their intelligence to stay out of harm's way. Without tools and weapons, though, humans are somewhat helpless to protect against true predatory animals like wolves. We simply have too many weak spots and few means of counter-attacking available to us. Humans rely on their intelligence and tools to overcome most animals. Without those, they can punch, kick, bite and try to choke other animals. However, humans are relatively weak compared to other primates and many other wild animals. Human bites are weak too, and our teeth are too small to do real damage, especially in this case. Meanwhile, we don't know exactly the full biting power of wolves. Some tests have found that they bite with a force of 400 pounds per square inch, but some estimates range up to 1,000 outside of laboratory conditions. After all, it is hard to get wolves to bite with all their force in a laboratory, so we don't really know how hard they can bite. Either way, they can tear the flesh off animals much larger than humans, so that information will suffice for this fight. Without weapons, humans must rely on ambushing most animals to win a fight, or tiring them out by chasing them for a long time. The only thing we have going for us is our wits and endurance. Wolves are cursorial predators. They are experts at chasing down prey and injuring it until it's too tired to fight back. When their target is too exhausted to put up a fight, they bite at the neck or snout of their prey and finish it off, which is when they will start tearing the animal apart. An unarmed human could not beat a wolf in a fight. Wolves are too strong fast and ferocious for a person to overcome in most cases. They are not merely big dogs. Wolves are apex predators that would make any lone person recoil in fear should they encounter one in the wild. The only chance that a human would have in this fight would be to somehow use their strength and body weight to take down and potentially choke the wolf to death, and that is not going to happen though. An unarmed human will not stand a chance against the wolf. Before you imagine yourself putting a wolf in a chokehold, you must realise that even most domesticated dogs can fight their way out of even having their nails clipped, so you won't stand a chance at besting a wolf because they are vicious and incredibly strong. What would most likely happen is the wolf would stalk the human, waiting for them to make a move. If the human runs, the wolf will follow, waiting for the individual to get tired. That's when the attack will come and the person will be too exhausted and scared to fight back. If the person stands and fights, the wolf will probably test them by lunging and dodging, delivering a bite here and there. Eventually, the wolf is going to see that there isn't much in the way of danger in this battle and attack vigorously, when the human will go down in so much pain that they won't be able to fight back. Humans that live in highly populated cities and suburban areas have become used to being at the top of the food chain. The same cannot be said about people that live in areas where grizzly bears are regularly sighted. They know that these bears pose a significant threat to them. Could an unarmed human beat a grizzly bear if they don't have access to a weapon or shelter? To figure out if a human could win a fight against a grizzly bear means we must consider several factors, namely the physical and behavioural elements of each creature, including size, speed, defences, offences and predatory capabilities. An unarmed human is much smaller than a grizzly bear. The average grizzly bear weighs between 180 and 320 kilograms, with the largest one ever seen weighing roughly 540 kilograms. Meanwhile, the average human weighs somewhere between 56 and 90 kilograms. The average grizzly bear stands about 3 and 4 feet tall at the shoulder. Most people are taller, standing between 5'3" and 5'9" inches, yet the grizzly can stand on its 2 hind legs, towering over any person. Grizzly bears are much faster than humans. The average human can run between 6.5 and 8 miles per hour if they are in good condition. The current human top speedster was Usain Bolt's top speed of 27.5 miles per hour in the middle of a sprint, and this is not a speed that even he could maintain for long. However, grizzly bears can run at up to 35 miles per hour, and they can maintain this speed for a longer distance than most humans can run. The everyday person is protected by their home, community and access to tools that keep them safe. However, when all of this is removed, humans are relatively weak. We have thin skin, many weak spots, and little to protect us against harsh elements. Yet our intelligence allows us to stay safe by helping us outsmart lesser creatures and to use any advantages we have to avoid danger. Grizzly bears are loaded with physical defences. They have fur and thick skin as protection, along with a layer of fat that can measure several inches thick. On top of that, they are insanely powerful, making it hard to dominate them in a battle. Even if a grizzly bear found itself on the losing end of a battle, it could always run away, using its amazing speed. The average human has a few ways of attacking enemies. They include punching, kicking, strangling, grappling and biting. Our bites are weak and our teeth are usually too short to do much damage to a wild animal. An unarmed human has nothing but those options in this battle and would be vastly outmatched. After all, humans mostly rely on their weapons and superior technology to tackle foes. Grizzly bears are made for fighting, even though they are not true hunters. They have canine teeth that can get as long as 3 inches, which can crunch into bodies with a bite force of 975 pounds per square inch. This is far greater than a human's bite force. They also have very long claws that can grow from 3 to 5 inches long. Their claws aren't especially sharp, but they can still slash prey easily. Grizzly bears are also very strong. They combine all these elements of their offensive prowess into mauling. They usually bring their body weight to bear on their enemy, dragging them down while delivering vicious bites to the head and neck of animals. Humans relied on cursorial hunting thousands of years ago. They would chase down prey, weaken it with weapons, and then kill it. They would also use forms of ambush like bow and arrow attacks and traps. Without access to weapons or gear, humans need to ambush their enemy to stand a chance. Grizzly bears prefer to scavenge or gather their food, yet they can be quite effective at hunting. They try to ambush their prey, but often must chase it, wear it down, and then kill it. They are powerful enough to take down large deer, and they can do so without the aid of other bears. So, we can safely conclude that a grizzly bear would win easily against one of us.